So this is another interesting question from Paul Matha, and he wanted to know, what are my most anticipated games of 2014? Alright, so these are games that I purposely left off of my previous list because I wanted to include it in this list. These are games that haven't been released yet, but are going to be upcoming. So here we go. I will go with my top 10, and I will go from number 10. I'll start at number 10 with 1 being my most anticipated game. Okay, most anticipated game number 10 is a game that I don't think I've never mentioned this one before. It's called Broken Age. I believe it's another indie game that was basically was assisted in its development through Kickstarter. And it involves 2 teenagers, a girl named Vela, who is to be sacrificed to protect her home village from a giant monster, and Shay, which is the boy, who is stuck aboard an empty spacecraft monitored by an overly motherly computer. Sounds kind of Aperture Science-y, if you ask me. And apparently you play the game and you switch back and forth. I don't know. I'm not sure how the game mechanics work, but I think you switch back and forth between the 2 characters, and their stories are somehow linked together. But you know, I only know a very little about the game, but from the very little I know, it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting and unique experience, and it's definitely something that I am watching very closely. So, Broken Age, hopefully it's a point-and-click adventure, and you know, with all the Telltale games that I've been playing recently, I'm very excited to find that, you know, point-and-clicks are coming back, and people are having a greater respect for point-and-clicks because of Telltale games, for example. So yeah, if you want to know more about Broken Age, I'll put links on all of these games in the bottom description for any of you who want to check out what all of these games are about in case you haven't heard of them. Most anticipated game number 9 is Infamous Second Son. I have played both Infamous 1 and Infamous 2. Both are really fun games. I don't know if I necessarily will LP them because I enjoyed the games, but I don't know if I necessarily need to play them a second time. Some of you might relate. You probably have had experienced games like that where it's fun playing the first time, but you're not really sure you necessarily need to play it a second time. But Infamous Second Son, I don't know if I will necessarily LP it. It's tough because it's a PS4 game. Even if I were to use the video card that I have right now, it's so finicky. I mean, essentially what happens is I would record and then it would crash. And the problem is, whenever it crashes, I immediately lose all of the footage that it recorded. So I have to go all the way back again. And if the save system is such that it's not really convenient for you to actually go back to a good, save location. I had this problem with Resident Evil 6, where, it would crash and I would have to go all the way back to the beginning of a chapter and spend like 30 minutes playing through the game before I end up getting back to the point where I can record again, and then it'll crash again, and then I have to go all the way back again. Like, that just got ridiculously annoying. I think that happened 3 times in a row when I was doing Jake and Sherry's campaign, and it just got so annoying. But I don't know, it's just one of those things that I have to grin and bear it if I'm gonna play, if I'm gonna record with my video card. Most anticipated game number 8 is a game called Murdered Soul Suspect. This is a game that is produced by Square Enix, and the same people who brought you Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I think the company that was also the company that used to be Squaresoft, who did Final Fantasy, who are doing Final Fantasy. Murdered Soul Suspect has sort of like a combination of, it sounds like a combination between Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. You basically play a character of someone who is trying to solve a murder. Your own murder. So you are a ghost. You are dead. You are a wandering soul who I think has the ability to like possess investigators who are investigating your murder, and you can like look through their notes. It has a very noir feel. I love mysteries and I like noir a lot. LA Noire is actually another game. I forgot to mention that. LA Noire is another game that's on my radar too. I don't know if I'm going to get to it anytime soon, but that's a game that has been recommended to me a year ago that I haven't been able to really seriously get into. But anyway, Murder Sold Suspect, the premise sounds really unique, and because I'm such a fan of mysteries, I think that would be something that would be really interesting for me to not only play but commentate on and share with you my thoughts of how I rationalize through figuring out what's going on and figuring out who might be the killer, which I will be doing a lot with Heavy Rain, which I think is going to be super fun. Most anticipated game number 7 is a game called Watch Dogs. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about this. It is open worldy, and again, I know I said that I don't particularly care for open worldy, but this has such a unique premise that I don't think I will mind as much that it's open world. It's a lot. Basically, you're this guy who has a special device. I think this happens in the near future, relatively futuristic game, futuristic setting, where you play this guy and you have this device that allows you to manipulate virtually any electronic device on the planet. Whether it be other people's cell phones, even numerous people's cell phones at the same time, traffic lights, things like that. And by using this machine to manipulate these objects, these electronic devices, it'll allow you to, I guess, accomplish whatever task you're trying to accomplish. Think of it as a futuristic Grand Theft Auto kind of. And yeah, I think it's sort of a mix between Grand Theft Auto and Assassin's Creed, because I think a lot of what you're trying to do is you're trying to be stealthy. Like a lot of stuff that you do with the device is to be stealthy. Like in order to distract people, you might, have everybody's cell phones ring at the same time, or in order to make your escape, you might change the traffic signals again to allow you a convenient path to escape, stuff like that. It's supposed to be coming up relatively soon. I'm definitely excited for it. We'll see if I'll be able to LP it, again, because I think it's exclusive to consoles, although I could be wrong. But if it's on PC, I'll definitely make it a point to try to LP it, because it sounds like a very cool game. Most anticipated game number 6 is a game that was recommended to me by one of my buddies, Shen Rylar. I'm sorry, Shen, I can never pronounce your name right. Shen Rylarnez. Shen Rylarnez, whatever. Shen is what I call him. Coming out on top is a game that first started out on Kickstarter, and it's essentially a gay dating game, gay dating simulation game, with an actual story. Apparently, there's a lot of emphasis on plot and story development, and obviously with developing relationships with other characters, like romantically with other characters. So you play this super cute guy in college, and he is basically has just recently come out to his friends. So he's newly out of the closet, and obviously now that he's out of the closet, he starts being interested in the prospect of dating other guys, dating other boys. So there's actually several characters as you play through the games, because you go through the story and you go to classes and you make decisions as to whether or not you want to do something with a specific person, whether or not you want to, obviously there's dialogue choices, you decide how you talk to specific people, and that kind of develops into your own personal story, and, find out how successful you are at finding love, and whether it's, you know, um, a really deep and genuine and, you know, lasting love, or if it's something that's, you know, a little bit more fun. You know, you're just enjoying yourself, you're young, you know, you're just trying to experience as much as you can experience, experiment as much as you can experiment, you know, while you're able to. You know, you have that choice. And each of the different guides that you can pursue are very different from each other, and apparently they have very um, interesting backgrounds. And it actually is made by a woman, and some people have criticized her for, you know, shouldn't this game be made by a gay man, not from a woman? But like playing the demo, the demo's been available for a while. You can play the demo for free just to get an idea of what the final game is going to be like. But after playing the demo, I'm like, this girl knows what she's doing. Like she's got it. Like she definitely knows what she's going to be doing. This is a game that I think it'll be a lot of fun, especially because me being LGBT myself, and a lot of you out there, not all of you, but a lot of you out there are also LGBT. So I thought it would be a game that you would probably be interested in checking out and possibly even watching me play. The only thing is, it does deal with a lot of very mature themes, and there are a lot of very racy and graphic scenes, which I'm probably going to have to make liberal uses of my censoring skills. This is another thing about, you know, having to edit footage after I make a video. So yeah, if I do decide to LP it, you know, just be warned ahead of time. There's probably going to be a good amount of censoring, but hopefully the story is good enough that, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly okay if there's like some racy content here and there. So that's definitely something that's on my list to play and to hopefully LP. And I believe also there, for those of you who are a little faint at heart when it comes to, you know, some of the racier things, apparently she is coming out. I don't know if it's going to be out with the release, but she is making a version that is a little more PG or PG-13 friendly, a little more PG friendly. Most anticipated game number 5 is Super Smash Bros. U. I have been a huge fan of Super Smash Bros. Ever since the original. Loved the game, loved the concept. In fact, every single Nintendo game that I have purchased since the N64 has been specifically for that current Smash Bros. Game. I didn't buy GameCube until Smash Bros. Came out for that system. I didn't buy my Wii until Smash Bros., you know, came for our system, and I'm not getting a Wii U until Super Smash Bros. U comes out. And that most likely is probably going to be the only game that I'm going to get for that. Well, it's probably not, but, you know, I don't buy nearly as many games. I didn't buy nearly as many games for the GameCube or the Wii after Smash Brothers. So it essentially becomes like a $300 video game, but I don't care. I love the game so much that I will gladly drop $300 to play that game and to own that game. So that's how much I love it. I am extremely pumped that Mega Man, amongst other characters, are in the roster. Love, because I'm a huge Mega Man fan. So, yeah, Super Smash Bros. U. Maybe, you know what, if that comes out, maybe I might even do a live stream and play with some of you. I mean, I've gotten really rusty over the years, so you guys will probably be kicking my butt horribly. Like, I think the N64 was definitely my prime in Super Smash Brothers. Like, my Pikachu, surprise, surprise, Pikachu was my character of choice for the original Smash Brothers, and I'd like to believe that I handled Pikachu in the arena pretty well. So, but there, yeah, Super Smash Bros. U. Looking forward to it. Most anticipated game number 4, Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, for those of you who never knew. I actually had thought about LPing the Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but again, the problem is there's so many games I want to play, and most of the games I want to play are blind. You know, like, I have to really, really, absolutely love a game, and I do love the Kingdom Hearts games. to not LP them blind. Um, but I try to put emphasis on blind games, and that's the only thing that currently is keeping me away from LP in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. If Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, I don't know if I'm going to LP it. It depends on what else I'm doing, what other projects I'm working on. But, I'm a huge Disney fan, and I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. And when, the first Kingdom Hearts, was coming out, people were very skeptical because it's a pretty odd concept, taking two universes and smashing them together, like, I don't think anyone anticipated, not even Square Enix, or I don't think any of them anticipated that Kingdom Hearts would be as successful as it is today. I love it. I love the franchise, and so I'm definitely psyched to finally get my hands on that game because I've been wanting that game for years. Most anticipated game number 3 of 2014 is Final Fantasy 15. This game used to be called Final Fantasy 13 Versus, I think. I've always been a big Final Fantasy fanboy. I played through every single non-MMORPG Final Fantasy. I don't know why they did that. They should not have included the MMORPGs in the Final Fantasy numbering system. I definitely think they should have made it Final Fantasy Online or Final Fantasy Online 2 or something that's not Final Fantasy with a number, because I think that just messed up the entire sequence. I don't know what they were thinking when they were doing that. But anyway, that's just a gripe of mine that still bothers me to this day. But yeah, I pretty much have played every single non-MMORPG numbered Final Fantasy except for Final Fantasy 2. Like not the US. I've played the US Final Fantasy 2. It's the Japanese. The Japanese Final Fantasy 2 is the one that I haven't beaten yet. But every single one I've played, every other single one I've played, and I do admit the Final Fantasy games have sort of been leaving much to be desired lately. Like I did not particularly care for Final Fantasy 13 at all. Final Fantasy, was it 11 or 12 that had Vaughn? I don't remember. Whichever one had Vaughn in it, I just didn't like the story at all. The story didn't engage me. I actually stopped playing halfway through the game because I just got bored of the story, and then just watched all of the cutscenes on YouTube just to see what happened. And after that I was like, I'm glad I didn't waste my time finishing that game because that story was just ridiculously boring to me. I think that the Final Fantasy game, the good Final Fantasy games, ended with Final Fantasy X. I really like 10. Not everybody does, but I really love 10. Warts and all. I loved 7. I loved 6. 6 is probably my favorite of all of the Final Fantasies, story-wise. I think 6 had the best story of them all, personally. And then, 8 and 9 I like too, but things have been going downhill a little bit, and I think Final Fantasy 15 is the response to people who liked the earlier Final Fantasies more. I think the reason why a lot of people had been anticipating, or were anticipating, Final Fantasy Versus when it was still Final Fantasy 13 Versus is because the gameplay is supposed to be more similar to the earlier or the more classic Final Fantasy playstyle. So that's one of the reasons why I'm banking on Final Fantasy 15. I'm hoping it's going to be as good as I think it's going to be. So keep our fingers crossed. Most anticipated game number 2 is The Sims 4. I love The Sims. I'm currently doing an LP of Sims 3. I know it's very long. I'm really glad that, because I said I was going to play until Angelus, the main character, dies. And I'm glad that I didn't start the game with him as a toddler, because we'd just be going forever. But Angelus he's almost there. He's an elder. I think he only has a few more days to live. I think that's going to end soon. I know it's really long, but I love The Sims. The Sims has always been very dear to my heart. I love the concept. I love, it's a sandbox game and it's open-ended, but I love it. I love it, love it, love it. You can play, because I can create people that I know. I can create towns with people that I know and just have fun with people that I know. I can create towns with video game characters and pretend that or video game characters mixed with movie characters, mixed with story, with book characters, mixed with TV show characters, all in one world, and just, you know, just see what happens when you put all of them. Like, there's just so many things that I'd like to do with The Sims, and just, it's a game that I think I'm going to LP my first experience with when Sims 4 comes out. I will probably do that, because I know a lot of you viewers out there are Sims fans. Not all of you, but a lot. So that's something that you can probably look forward to when the game finally comes out. And then most anticipated game number 1. This should not come to a surprise to any of you. I mean, all of you who have watched, you know, most of my LPs know, or most of my videos know, that my number 1 most anticipated game of 2014 is Dragon Age Inquisition. Yeah, I've talked so much about this game, a lot. I mean, I've had podcasts of this game. I'm going to probably continue making podcasts of this game. I know a lot of people were scarred by Dragon Age 2. I understand why. I personally still enjoy Dragon Age 2, even though it definitely was very rushed and there were definitely a lot of flaws. But I think that BioWare, from what I've seen, has been making it a point to fix the mistakes that they made both in Dragon Age 2 and in Origins, because there were some mistakes in Origins too, or places that they can improve in Origins. And I think that Dragon Age 3 is going to be a way for them to come back, to bring that franchise back. So, desperately hoping that that's what's going to do, but from what I've seen so far, I think it's going to deliver, and I have a lot of faith. I have every faith in BioWare that this is going to be a game that I'm going to love.